So, namaste everyone. Welcome to again in this journey of secrets of yoga therapy. We are again yet another day learning something new with our prominent guests, teachers in the renowned and very special Gitananda Yoga tradition. And today we have with us Professor Ingunn Hagen with us. So, without much taking time, let us start with the invocation. Om तत्परंपर्याय विद्महे ज्ञानलिंगेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयाते। ओम ओम योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरी गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम पुदवई कलमा मणि पुदवई शक्ति योगाचारिणी अम्माजी मीनाक्षी देवी भवनानी गुरु माता की जय। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। So, namaste and welcome you all again on this third day of yoga therapy journey, and we are learning the secrets as it the title only says. And we would like to welcome today's session on the topic yoga for psychosomatic disorders, Agita Yoga Perspective. We are honored to host our dear Professor Dr. Ingunn Hagen, a distinguished scholar and educator in psychology with a deep commitment in research on yoga, mental health, and well-being. Professor Ingunn G currently serves as a professor of psychology at the Department of Psychology, Norway University of Science and Technology, and in the Norway. She holds a PhD in media studies and MA in communication alongside professional qualification as a psychologist. Her broad academic expertise encompasses media psychology, audience studies, organizational communication, qualitative methodologies, and mindfulness based psychological approaches. Her recent research interests have intricately involved the study of yoga and its therapeutic potential, especially in mental health and well being. Professor Inkanji has led and contributed to multiple research projects exploring people's lived experiences with yoga, including the European project Hippocampus, promoting mental health and well being among young people through yoga. She has presented her work extensively in prestigious national and international conferences, as well as published in international peer reviewed journals. A long-time yoga practitioner, professional Professor Ingunn Hagenji, has been deeply inspired by the Gitananda Yoga tradition over the past 5 years and more, I think. And she has undertaken various hybrid and online courses with teachers from this lineage, this tradition, this parampara, which have profoundly enriched her knowledge and practice. She is closely associated with the ISCM, Institute of Cell-Genesis and Complementary Medicine, Shri Balaji Vidyapeeth, Pondicherry, and where she contributes to as in faculty development programs in various FDPs and lecturing on diverse yoga-related topics. And her teaching at the Norway Technical Institute spans media audiences, media psychology, organizational communication, qualitative research methodologies, and further educational courses such as mindfulness, coaching, and existential psychological approaches. Currently, she leads a continuing education course on self reflection, self development, and stress management, wherein yoga serves as a central element. Inganji was recently a visiting scholar at the University of California, Santa Barbara, where she continued her 20-year collaborative research on media mastery and its psychological implications. And today she will share her insights on the integration of yoga into psychosomatic health care, highlighting the therapeutic perspectives of the Gitananda Yoga tradition and its applicability to holistic mental and physical well-being. And the session will we will all have the question answer session that we all are seeing in the last 2 days. And personally, as I met her, and she is a very good human being, so humble, so kind. And as I know her in person, she likes to learn more and more, and that attitude is of a like a person who is actually raised with more wisdom, who has like the text says like Vidya Dadati Vinayam. So that Vinay is there, and that from learning or understanding the concepts in the Gitananda tradition, it is really a privilege. So I welcome Ingunji on this platform, and we are very eager to listen to you. Over to you, Ingunji.
Yes, first of all, nice to see that so many people have shown up. Sorry, Nilachal, for not meeting with you when I should some minutes before, but I had some huge problems with my computer that I was planning to use, my portable computer, and then I had to go to my office computer, which is just a new one that I got, and it has one of these rounded screens, and it's 2 meters. So if it looks like I'm not looking directly at you, it's just because I'm trying to see all that is on my broad screen.
It's
So
completely fine, Ingunji. No issues at all.
yeah. So thank you for giving me this task to talk about yoga for psychosomatic disorders, Gitananda Yoga Perspective. And this is not a topic that I've worked on directly before. And I was in the middle of 2 weeks of teaching other topics, so it became a bit stressful for me, but that fits quite well with some of the topics I'm going to talk about today. So I'm having some problem here with moving my screen.
Is it moving with the cursor, Ingunji?
It doesn't seem to be doing that. Yeah, here it is. Now it's moving with the cursor. Okay,
Oh.
good. Yeah. So in this talk, I will try to share my understanding of psychosomatic disorders and also the role of stress in them. I'm just going to turn off my phone or put it on flight mode, as I forgot to do.
Inganji, it just asking if it is okay for you. Can I share my screen, the PPT that you shared, and so it will be more convenient to you?
Okay, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just then stop my sharing and you get on yours. Okay. Yeah.
You just need to tell me next, and I will change the slide. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Is this the first one or is this the second one? I think you should go to the first one. Yeah. That one. So I will then try to address what role yoga may play in preventing psychosomatic disorders and when they occur, how yoga can contribute to healing or being supportive at a later stage. And since I'm talking from the Gitananda tradition perspective, I will share some of the insights based on Swamiji Dr. Gitananda, Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani, and also Anandaji or Dr. Bhavanani, because they have all written about this topic, and sometimes what they write is overlapping, sometimes it differs. Next, thank you. So these psychosomatic disorders, as the name suggests, is disorders where the mind affects the body in a negative way. And one of the main causes of these psychosomatic disorders is stress. And I will talk quite a bit about stress. And also for the Gitananda Yoga tradition, these psychosomatic disorders are seen as health conditions where psychological stress develops into and are manifested in physical illness. And Dr. Gitananda or Swamiji says a lot about health and disease. And this the perspective that I will share here is both rooted in ancient wisdom and the modern scientific and yoga therapeutic insights. I think you all know this quote from Swamiji: health and happiness are your birthrights, but you have to claim them. And it's very easy to say, but it's more difficult to do, because in our everyday life, we all get stressed and we all do things, even though we try to practice yoga as a way of life, we do things all the time that kind of is not so healthy for our body, our mind. Of course, I wanted to mention what others say too, and I chose to focus on psychology, as that is my background. So the American Psychological Association and their APA, which is very dominant when it comes to research. You also have a European organization, ISCM 11. But this is APA, and in their dictionary of psychology, they define psychosomatic as relating to the mind's role in physical disorders, with psychological factors contributing to the origin of course of bodily symptoms. But they don't really use this concept, psychosomatic disorders. And I also looked at some psychiatry books that Nilachal was kind enough to send me. They belong to Rama Reddy, so thanks for that. They also didn't use the concept psychosomatic disorders much. And in this DSM-5, which is the latest manual for a diagnostic and statistical manual of the APA, they say that they prefer to use somatic symptom disorder rather than psychosomatic disorders. So there, now just 1 minute. Yeah. So they recognize them as disorders associated with somatic symptoms. That's what they talk about as a diagnostic criteria, because they find that to be more precise somehow. And I would say, this is my opinion, that psychologists are very concerned with the mind, with emotions, with behavior, but they're less focused on how the mind impacts the body. And I think here it would be useful to have a better integration of yoga therapy, and psychology. It has started many places, but there's still a long way to go. Next, please. And then some clinical perspective. I took this from the Cleveland Clinic. They had some nice pictures of psychosomatic disorders, some illustrations. and they relate it mainly to stress, and they say that this can include chest pain, exhaustion, often related to insomnia or just being exhausted anyway. Sexual dysfunction, digestive problems are very common. Also, high blood pressure is often a result of stress and will be on the pathway to these psychosomatic disorders. Muscle tension is typically happening, headaches, dizziness, shaking, and generally our immune system is really weakened if we experience high levels of stress over time. You also have the stress lead to more emotional and mental symptoms like feeling overwhelmed, being anxious or irritable, depression, and sometimes panic attacks. And these are emotional and mental symptoms, but they will also sometimes develop into more physical symptoms if they last, if we don't get over them. Next, please. Dr. Ananda has already in 2013 written an article called Psychosomatic Mechanisms of Yoga, which I find very enlightening. And he discusses the Adi Vyadi principle described in ancient yoga texts, like the Nirvana Prakarana of the Laghu Yoga Vasishta. So Adi Vyadi is the kind of the yogic terms for these diseases originating from the mind, like the psychosomatic disorders. And I think that also the Gitananda model of fourfold awareness will highlight how one true yoga can prevent that psychosomatic disorders develop. I will get back to that. Next, please. So probably some of you have seen this model already, and I noticed that Dr. Meena was quickly referring to it yesterday as well in her marvelous lecture on women and yoga. It starts with the psychic phase, which is kind of when you have mild levels of stress or emotional stress, and it will continue to impact you psychologically, emotionally, and behaviorally in terms of symptoms. And this psychic phase is correlated with the Vijnana Maya, intellectual, and also the Manu Maya, psychological koshas. I'll get back to this Panchakosha model afterwards. And Dr. Ananda suggests that yoga as a mind-body therapy is quite effective as this state. So this is an early state. Then it goes into the psychosomatic phase. So if this experience of stress continues, there will be more physiological symptoms, for example, hypertension, but also more starting of pain or stress. So this psychosomatic phase is related to Manomaya, the psychological, and Pranamaya, which is the prana or functional kosha. And also at this stage, yoga as a mind-body therapy can be very effective. Next, please. Then you have the third and fourth phases. And the somatic phase is the third phase, where these organ dysfunctions begin. At this phase, certain involved organs like the heart could be having problems, the stomach, you can start to feel pain. And they will gradually develop into a more diseased state. At this somatic phase, it is correlated with the pranayama, the functional state, and also with the annamaya, the anatomical kosha. And at this state, yoga therapy will not be as effective. And it could be used, but it needs to be used in combination with medicine. So we are beyond the stage where yoga can only be enough. Then at the organic phase, the fourth phase, we have a full-blown disease state where pathological changes such as chronic hypertension, which can impact the heart, or stomach conditions that have become ulcerated. So it's very serious problems we are facing now. And at this organic phase, it's correlated with the Annamaya kosha, or the anatomical layer. And the disease is now fully present in our physical body. Here, yoga therapy or yoga have more palliative or function, so it can improve our quality of life, but it cannot heal or cure us. Okay, next, please. I just wanted to show some picture and make some show the different layers of the, or bodies or sheets of the Panchakosha model. Many of you are probably familiar with it, because according to this model, man or humans have a lot of layers in their body. Annamaya, the physical or anatomical layer; Pranamaya, physiological, prana-based layer; Manomaya kosha, which is both the conscious mind and also the more unconscious mind, chitta. Vijnanamaya is more intellectual. It's the buddhi or intellectual layer. And then, of course, the Anandamaya kosha, the layer of bliss, which is universal. And I have picked this beautiful picture and systematic organization of this Pancha kosha model from the yogic psychic neurology that Dr. Ananda has made in 2020, and this was also the basic for a course he gave. Next, please. And this Panchakosha model is also the basis for this Nara that is Dr. Gitananda writes about in this Yoga Step by Step book, because he explains a lot of our psychosomatic disorders with this psychic disassociation, or this misalignment between the different layers of the Panchakosha model. And we see that it starts with the psychic phase, where the yoga therapy or techniques can help you. At the psychosomatic phase, yoga therapy is required along with medicine, allopathic or naturopathy. But at the somatic phase, as we talked about, which is the third phase, it's then at the, you can, and also the organic phase, you can, yoga therapy is more palliative and permanent, and you have organic. So you see how this Nara is closely, it's all about the disalignment between the different layers of this Panchakosha model. Next, please. And then I also wanted to refer to Ammaji, who has also written about psychosomatic disorders in her book called Bhavana, Developing the Right Attitude Towards Life. And she is, in the same way as Dr. Ananda, she refers to this Nirvana Prakarana of the Laghu Yoga Vasishta, or Saint Vasishta. And she says that this is a very important early source in describing psychosomatic disorders. So this is like the basis for the yogic understanding of these disorders. And she too emphasizes the role of stress and suggests that samanya, which is ordinary physical disease, often can be improved by restoring the mind-body harmony. Because we are not, when we have a psychosomatic disease, we have lost our balance, our harmony, our alignment. So Ammaji suggests that samanya, adi, vidyadi are the modern psychosomatic disorders, and she labels quite a few of them, such as hypertension, diabetes, bronchial asthma, peptic ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome. So I think we all know people who have these kind of symptoms or diseases, and maybe we have faced some of them at some stage in our life ourselves. Next, please. And as I said, stress plays a huge role in the development of psychosomatic disorders. And we need then to understand stress. Because a lot of times, whether you feel stressed or not, it's not the situation or the task itself, but it is how you assess or evaluate the situation or task that is important. So how you react, what perspective you have. Is this a challenge or is it a huge problem? And how you define it is then important for how you react. As we can see in some of these images I put here, a lot of people think that in order to be efficient in their work life or even home life, they need to multitask. So they're trying to do so many things at one time and not probably doing any of them quite well enough. And if you start to do some yogic practices, this could really change how your attitude and how you handle things. But an author called Yogendra, who is in the Santa Cruz, the yoga lineage there. And he says that we may place our body on stress alert quite unconsciously. And I think this is important because a lot of times we are not quite aware of what we're doing when we are in this stress alert stage. So it's our psychological and emotional attitude, but this could be something we are not quite aware of when we do it. It's a more habitual attitude. But a lot of times yogic awareness can help us change that. So in modern society, it's very difficult to avoid stress. But you can change your attitude and experience of stress, and also you can learn to cope better with stress or handle stress better. So yoga related to stress can be a good way to achieve deep relaxation and often allow you to reduce your stress level. So there are many examples of that. Next, please. And there are much research. When I have written research articles, there are some classical articles that are often referred. One of them is Sharma. So this is a review article, and he argues that yoga appears to be a promising tool for stress management. And also quite a few other articles show a strong reduction in the perception of stress after practicing yoga. So we change our perspective or perception. And these changes include psychological mechanisms such as more positive attitude towards stress, like something you can manage, increased self-awareness, now I'm stressed again. Coping skills, sense of control, calmness, mindfulness, spirituality, and compassion. All these are factors that can help you to either reduce your stress level or deal with it in a better way. Also, the biological mechanisms are very important, and especially the changes in the autonomic nervous system. Because due to the everyday stress in modern society, it's easy to be in a too much sympathetic mode. So through yoga, we develop a better balance between the parasympathetic, the rest and digest mode. So in that sense, we become less stressed. Next, please. So how can we understand stress? Stress has become, yes, looks like we have a question.
Uh, yes, Amanji, you have a question. You may ask right now, or we can have it at the end if possible.
Actually, it was related to a term in the slide. That is why, just previous slide. No. Yes, so this last parabiological mechanism in the changes include autonomic nervous system, especially to develop the increased balance in the relationship. Just a light on this last para.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
because the autonomic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that we are not in control of. So due to the everyday stressors in many people's lives, the sympathetic nervous system is overactive and the parasympathetic is underactive. So there's not a good balance between them. So the result is that people go around with a lot of tension in their body, with high shoulders, feeling that, oh my God, I'm really not up to this, or you feel stressed. And then yoga can then restore the balance, that you become more into your parasympathetic mode and you feel less stressed, you feel more relaxed in your body, your mind, and that's much better for you. I don't know if that was responding to your question. Okay. So yeah, so everybody think they understand what is stress, but this concept was credited to Hans Selye, who introduced the term in medicine as a non-specific response to the body of the body to any demand. So if you feel there is too much demand on you, you become stressed. He also described stress as underpinning the non-specific symptoms of illness, because a lot of times, since he was in medicine, he would find that a lot of times you couldn't really explain why illness had developed, and then that this stress level was something that contributed. And he also identified, and he related that to the hypothalamic pituitary axis, which is very central in how yoga impacts us. He also identified 3 stages in the stress reaction: the alarm reaction, when you feel, oh my God, and then the resistance stage, where you try to counteract the stress, and then if the stress still continues despite your efforts, then you will, after some time, if it's long lasting, be quite exhausted. Stress is often in our daily conversations about it associated with the first stage, the alarm reaction. And Dr. Ananda also has written about this, and he said that stress can be defined as an exaggerated response to a change in the external or internal environment. So he also brings in the internal environment. So stress is a set of responses to a stimulus that disturbs the mental or physiological equilibrium. So we are not at ease anymore. So stress reactions, when you perceive something as a stressful event, and that, as we said, or as I said, depends on the individual and how the kind of attitude or perspective they have. And it can trigger fight, flight. So we become aggressive or try to fight, or we try to get away from things, or even freeze. And this is also something we see in animals, the way they react to some stressful event. And typically when we have a stressful event happening, this is causing release of hormones like adrenaline, which is good for mobilizing, but not healthy in the long run, and also cortisol to be produced in the body. So short-term stress is not so bad for our health if we get back to a more relaxed parasympathetic mode again soon. But it's the long-term stress that is worst for us, because then you have an overactive sympathetic response that over time can lead to these psychosomatic disorders. Because you need to be activated, you need to have some level of sympathetic activation to perform well. If you are like giving a lecture that I'm doing now, or having a test, or have to mobilize to do something well, even sports people, when they are supposed to run, they need to be activated to perform well. But after your performance is over, you need to be able to get back to this parasympathetic mode, so you can feel rested, you're able to digest your food, you can sleep well. So we need to be in that for our normal everyday life, in addition to the sympathetic activation. I have also, in some other research projects that I've been involved in, for example, this hippocampus project that Nilachal mentioned, which was a European project with 5 countries involved. And we were introducing yoga to school children in secondary school and high school. And then we did interviews with them, both survey interviews, but also qualitative interviews. And we also had them write a diary. So it was a multi-method. We found that yoga contributed to relaxation, and also an awareness of the need for relaxation, and also that, yes, now they were able to relax, because as part of their school, they had lots of stress related to school, and also just being young and being all the time on social media, comparing themselves to their peers all the time. There were lots of stressful events in their life, but especially to do well in school, and the everyday life of dealing with school and homework was seen as very stressful. And then being relaxed and increasing awareness through yoga seemed to counteract this stress. Next, please. And here is just a reference to where we discussed this in this study, where we said that yoga seemed to promote mental health and well-being in schools, and also increase the young people's relaxation, and it impacted their stress level in a positive way. Next, please. But I think stress is also something happening in the workplace, and the workplace stress is a serious problem globally. included in India, where I've heard, especially those who work daily with IT and many other professions too, are experiencing stress on a daily level. And this was a recent report, Harvard Business Review had a report called The Battle Against Workplace Stress, How Smart Organizations Are Creating Healthier Environments. And it found that in the US, as much as 82% said that the workplace stress was a problem at their organization. And they also found that stress had a lot of impact on how they work together or how they perform their job. For example, it impacted their engagement negatively, their creativity, innovation was less, and it also contributed to people getting a new job, so employee turnover and burnout. People got on sick leave because they had too much stress in their job. And it was made it more difficult to collaborate, teamwork, productivity, and work quality, because when a lot of people are tense, it's more easy to have a conflict in your workplace, for example. And especially this workplace stress could lead to mental health problems like anxiety and depression. But as we know, this high level of stress over time will also lead to psychosomatic disorders. Next, please. So I wrote about this also in an article. The second author is my brother, who is in organizational psychology. And we wrote about how yoga had an impact on occupational stress and well-being. And like in the case of these students in high school, these people in different workplaces said that especially pranayama and also meditation was very helpful, and they used this yogic breathing and meditation. If they had a meeting that was important to them, they would sit down and try to calm down. But they also talked about how people being less tense made it a better work environment. So it really had a great impact. So a lot of them were really motivated to continue doing yoga after having yoga in the workplace. Next, please. Also, Patanjali Yoga Sutras is having insights on stress. He says that we can, yoga is good for stress management, including understanding the nature of pleasure and pain, cultivating even-mindedness, nurturing positive attitudes and values, surrendering to higher consciousness, and practicing Ashtanga yoga, in the meaning the 8 limbs of yoga that he's so famous for, and that most of us are quite familiar with. So I think Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga, one could include all 8, or one can have, for example, because yoga, as we discuss it in the Gitananda tradition, is a way of life, a good way of life, and one can use yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, meditation, and others. And all of these have been shown to reduce stress and enhance well-being. And Dr. Ananda has written about Patanjali Yoga Sutras in this Understanding the Yoga Darshan, which is worth looking into. So I think okay, there's a, yeah, I can respond to that later. I saw it came from the chat. So including these practices in yoga therapeutic interventions can enhance our stress management and self-awareness and promote better health rather than in the direction of developing psychosomatic disorders. So I think it's very important that we combine these ancient yogic wisdoms with more modern therapeutic modalities, because we need to cultivate resilience, inner calm, and which will be very effective stress management. Next, please. In a small booklet that was published at Institute of Solid Genesis and Complementary Medicine, which is yoga therapy for care seekers. I take something from that. And they say that related to this yogic approach to stress, that some amount of stress is necessary, as I've said before, to bring out the best in us. But it's very vital for us to learn how to manage stress and keep it under conscious control. And as I have pointed out, attitude or perspective matters, how we view this. And in this book, they also refer to Epictetus, who very early said that men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take on them. So whether we react with stress is how we view things. And Swamiji, in his more jokingly manner, will say, you don't have problems, you are the problem. So I think that if we are the problem, we need to change into a more positive frame of mind, which will help us be more cheerful or happy and less stress. And here we also need to be reminded by Maharishi Patanjali's advice to cultivate Pratipaksha Bhavana, the opposite view, as a vital tool to achieve balance in the emotions and mind. So we can always change our attitude to the opposite. Next, please. And then some yogic advice to relieve stress. We need to cultivate awareness, become aware of stress and how to get rid of it. And here, not just yoga is mentioned, but also other elements that can be part of a healthy life. So movement, and it can include asanas, but also walking, swimming, and other movements. Yogic relaxation, shavasana, yoga nidra. So we need to become relaxed in our body and mind, and also to have a hobby that is something you do outside your work or something that you have a passion for. Some have a passion for music, other likes dancing, painting, cooking, gardening, having a pet. A lot of things can make us less stressed. But breathing is probably one of the easiest way to relieve stress. And this is what the students I interviewed and also those in workplaces, they found that really yogic breathing, pranayama, was very helpful for them to be less stressed. And also this attitude that we just let things lie. We don't have to be attached to every conflict or every situation. We can say, okay, let's go, forget it, that's over now. And also, if we have a problem, to try to visualize them and to visualize a solution and get finished with them in that way, or find a solution. And also, as Ammaji often says, to have this positive self-suggestion, that you develop a I can and I will attitude, which is very good for us. But if we feel that something is too difficult. I think also this Gitananda perspective, this understanding of yoga as since yoga is a conscious evolution, and this fourfold awareness is very important for develop this conscious development with ourselves. So you have a first stage where we need to be aware of the body and how it works and how to care for it. And this is a good way to prevent to develop these psychosomatic disorders if we are very aware what is happening in our body. So, and as Swamiji says, if we want to have good health, we need to do healthy things rather than inflict unhealthy things or states in the body so that we harm it. So we have to be very aware of this. So we need to have a conscious knowledge of appropriate lifestyle in terms of diet, habits, exercise. So yoga is in a way exercise, but also more exercise could be used. The environment, and also to take proper rest and relax when necessary. So you need to be aware of what you're doing with your body all the time. When you're breathing, pay attention to that. When you're moving, be with the movement, be in your walking, be in your talking, sitting, sleeping, eating. So being in the present moment and then listen also to your body is quite important. And then the second stage of this fourfold model of awareness is to be aware of the effect of emotions, because we all have emotions all the time and they can impact the body, especially if they are positive emotions can have a very beneficial effect on the body, while more negative emotions are very bad for the body. So we all have these human emotions: jealousy, hate, greed, envy, possessiveness are very destructive emotions according to Dr. Gitananda or Swamiji, but also aversion, embarrassment, fear, or escapism are psychosomatic producing emotions according to him. But to the contrary, positive emotions like serenity, joy, compassion, understanding, and the desire to serve all have positive impact on the body. So it's like doing good will bring us a good health and be good for the body. So we need to be aware of our emotions as soon as they arise, and then we can do something about it. So Swamiji suggests that we give over to positive emotions. If you feel something positive, try to be in it and strengthen it. While you have negative emotions, you can try to control and resist them. It's not always easy to control our emotions and direct them in a positive or negative way, but we have to try that for it will really matter, and it's important to be aware of. Next one. The third stage of awareness in this fourfold awareness model is awareness of the mind and how the mind can control the emotions and the body. What is meant here is the conscious part of the mind rather than the more unconscious part. I will say that also the sometimes long-term yoga practice can also make us more in contact with the unconscious part of the mind. So Swamiji says that adi vyadi is the Sanskrit term for the higher or conscious mind, but it's also used as a term for psychosomatics. So Swamiji suggests that a new awareness means that even the conscious mind, the manas, is transcended by higher aspects of the mind called the buddhi, while the chitta is the word for a more subconscious or unconscious part of the mind. Buddhi, or the higher faculty of awareness, can be facilitated by dharana or concentration and by dhyana or meditation. And buddhi is very helpful in making us make good choices. So the fourth stage of this fourfold awareness model is awareness of awareness, or what one could call the meta awareness. Psychologists have a similar concept. They call it metacognition. So Swamiji calls this stage samadhi or cosmic consciousness. It could also be called, if one uses a concept from Maslow, self-realization. But there's also a fifth stage in this model that has been added to the model by Ammaji, who suggests that the precondition for developing awareness through practicing yoga is to acknowledge how unaware we are. So I think being humble is always a good starting point, because we like to have think that we are very aware of ourselves and what is going on in our mind, body, emotions, but I think we need to become more aware, and that is a very important function of yoga, to become more aware. Yes, so this yogic understanding of psychosomatic disorders, as we said before, it's linked to this Panchakosha model. It starts with stress, mental agitations, being too emotional, not balanced psychologically. And this will lead to a hazardous flow of prana and unstable nadis. This is a yogic understanding. And also, there's a lot of activities at the anatomical level, hypocellular activity, hypercellular activity, and altered cellular activities. And all this will contribute to our, to our worsening in terms of a psychosomatic disorder. So these are stages we need to be aware of. Yes. Next. And there is a lot of therapeutic interventions, and they are also related to the different levels in or phases or layers in the Panchakosha model. So we can do jatis, kriyas, asanas, and we can change our diet or control our diet. We can have the shat karmas, the cleansing. We can have pranayamas. We can develop more breath awareness, and also have a breath movement or breath asana coordination. We can try to have a better energizing and balancing of the prana energy or pranic energy. And our mind plays a great role there, because where our mind goes, the prana flows. So that has a lot of meaning. Also, trataka, concentration, or dharana, meditation, or dhyana, japa can all play an important role. And also this more intellectual self-analysis, which I have used quite a bit in the teaching I'm doing now, where the Svadhyaya concept has been very central and very really helpful to people. And you can also attend lectures, have a spiritual uplifting through satsanga, which there is a lot of in this Gitananda tradition, where we all feel kind of uplifted afterwards a lot of times. And this spiritually uplifting experiences. There's some aspects of yoga that can also be related to the Ananda Maya Kosha, like karma yoga, where you do a lot of contribute to society or contribute with something good without expecting fruits for it or payment for it. And bhakti yoga, where we try to live in a blissful universe and try to develop joy, bhajans, counseling, satsanga, all this can be very positive at this universal layer. So just to summarize the 4 phases of these psychosomatic disorders that Dr. Ananda had written very well about. So yoga as a mind and body therapy is most effective at this psychic first phase, where stress is part of an individual's life. So we can change the direction, we can remain healthy. Yoga is also an effective part of the psychosomatic phase, where stress has led to increased symptoms and hypertension. So by realizing that, becoming aware of our body and our mind, we can also, through yoga, stop this development towards psychosomatic disorders. At the somatic phase, where there is a disturbed function of organs, there's less we can do. And then at that stage, yoga therapy and yoga needs to be combined with other methods of treatment, like medicine. At the organic phase, where we really have become unhealthy, we have a full manifestation of disease. We might have a stomach ulcer, we might have a serious heart problem, we might have diabetes, we have many problems that are so established in our body that yoga can have more a palliative role. It can help us with self-care, and in that sense, it can also contribute to a better quality of life. But unfortunately, it cannot fully heal us or cure us anymore. Okay, this is what I had to say, and then I invite you to ask questions or comment. I might be able to respond to your questions. I might not. Then I invite others to comment to if they feel they have something to contribute, because we have a lot of wise people here already.
Thank you, Inganji. There are a couple of questions here. There's one like, what is your take on effects of artificial intelligence on our cognitive skills?
Okay. I think nowadays we are starting to feel that AI, or artificial intelligence, can solve all our problems, and that we use it a lot, even though like universities are making rules for how it can be used by students and staff. It was very interesting when I was at UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara. Like in most of the world, they were also very interested in how we use artificial intelligence. So there was a week-long seminar where a lot of people have started to do studies of how we used it and what impact it had on us. And one study I thought was quite interesting, because students who used the artificial intelligence as a replacement for their normal way of working, they became less self-confident. I think they had this feeling that they had more or less been cheating. And also they became less creative, because somehow they have started to trust artificial intelligence, and they trusted themselves and their abilities less. For those who used artificial intelligence as a supplement in their work, for example, they wanted to see what was available out there, what sources they could, and for generating ideas, or at some stage in the process where there was a concept, they could check it out. And that can be very helpful. And they contain their self-confidence because they felt that they had done most of the work. They had just used artificial intelligence as some additional to help them on the way. And I think it's also important to be aware of the limitations of artificial intelligence, because sometimes you get so good answers that you feel, oh, what is the purpose of being a researcher anymore? Artificial intelligence can solve all our problems or provide insights that it would take us long time to get. But then artificial intelligence cannot be trusted because it is only able to provide what we have put in. And in some areas, there is not put in enough knowledge into the computer. So, and when artificial intelligence doesn't have good enough sources, what it starts doing then is not to admit that I don't know this answer. It will start what they call hallucinating. It will create some, it will describe something that if you're not aware of the area, you think that this could be a good answer. But if you have some knowledge, you understand that this is bullshit. The artificial intelligence does not understand this because it's lacking sources. So sometimes you can be really surprised about the answers you get. So I think the question was about, I'm trying to see it. Yeah, it was how it relates to our cognition. And I think if we use it as a tool in a critical manner and use it to support our work, it's excellent. But artificial intelligence can only build on what we have put in. So it's our task still to evaluate the answers we get and to use them in a meaningful way. Artificial intelligence cannot replace us and our thoughts, but it can support us in our work if used in a critical manner. Yeah. I don't know if that was a
Thank you for that answer. It really resembles with the present scenario of the artificial intelligence when we have to give some prompt and the answers are coming. And there is a limitations definitely, and uh, the consciousness that human mind or the human body has, which has been like uh, gross, causal, and the subtle body. So definitely there are limitations to AI. So thank you for that answer. And again, I would like to invite everyone to ask question. You can raise your hand or you can type in the chat box. And by the time, I have a question for you, Inganji. Like, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge in bringing yogic perspectives into mainstream healthcare for psychosomatic disorders?
I think the main challenge is that if people don't know what yoga is, and then in the West, sometimes when you introduce yoga, you will have people who are quite have prejudice. There's also among scholars or health professionals, you can have prejudice based on that people don't know exactly what yoga is, and their impression is mainly based on media, where you see all these women that are very fit and able to do this almost acrobatic exercises, and then they don't understand the depth of yoga. And you also have some who are very against yoga on religious reasons. Like I had to enter into a debate with someone who claimed that one shouldn't introduce yoga in schools because yoga was actually indoctrination of Hinduism. And then this man was writing in a newspaper, and my brother, I was at that time in the US, it's some years ago, and he had even referred to me and my research, and he said, some naive scholars think that yoga can improve the life of children, but this is really only Hindu indoctrination. You also had some cases in the US, there were even a court case about this. So this very, and it turned out that this meant several people entered the discussion on both sides. Some in front promoting yoga, others agree with this man. But it turned out that he was quite a fanatical man, and he had limited knowledge about what yoga was, but he was scared of it, and it really had some implications too, because some woman, she was from the Philippines. She lived on the island where I grew up, and she was very enthusiastic about yoga and was organizing a yoga festival. And because of this debate, and especially this man who wrote before others started to discuss with him, then people went, they had put up some posters to promote this yoga festival, and people went and turned them down. So I think sometimes people can be rather fanatical, but I think also in the West, there is an increasing interest in yoga, and some are very sincere about understanding yoga. And so that's what we have to contribute, this sincerity about promoting traditions that are so deep, like the Gitananda Yoga. And also in my field, in psychology, some psychologists have started to use yoga as a integrative therapy, but others are more skeptical towards this. And it's, for most, I think it's lack of knowledge and prejudice in combination. Yes. I'm trying myself quite hard to get it into the psychologist program here, because we have a clinical psychology program. And then the argument was that there was no room for it. We have like a national plan with all the demands that need to be part of a clinical psychologist training. And they said that, oh, no, there was no room for yoga right now. And but the students are very interested, and I have guided so many students who want to write about this and do studies about it, because, and when you ask the students, they are interested. So we need a generational shift at the university, and then there will be more of it. But you also have people who do PhDs, who do studies. One of them is just got a letter from Dr. Mina today. She's at the University of Oslo. She's coming to your department to study yoga with you, because she's using it with people who have complex traumas as part of her study. And she asked me where she should go to learn yoga. She had contact with Shirley Tellers, who's also on her committee. And I said, if I am to advise you, I would recommend you to go to the best place I know of, go to Pondicherry, and be at the Institute of Solitary Genesis and Complementary Medicine. So, yeah.
Thank you for giving that clear idea and for your opinion for our ISCM. Thank you so much for your answer. There is a question from Alok ji. I would request Alok ji to unmute and you can ask the question. Yes, Alok ji.
Thank you, Neelachal ji. Good evening, Ingunn ji. Your talk is really very insightful, very enlightening. and very helping for so many under stress. There is a question like in India, especially, so a large number of youth who are engaged in IT profession, and they need to work uh, during late in night. So just to uh, do their job, they have to go against the circadian rhythm, and they know that they are doing this wrong, and this which is not good for their ease and happiness, and they go under stress, and they develop so many psychosomatic diseases, and so I invite you to kindly uh, advise, do some insights, how they can be helped, or what should they do, like.
Yeah. Yes, I have read about this, that this is a serious problem. And it's difficult because when you are dealing with people all over the globe and, the time is different, then you have sometimes to adjust. But it's important that organizations or workplaces also take the health of their employees into consideration, because if they are not concerned with that, they will have a high turnover. People don't have the health to stay in those kind of organizations. And in organizational theory, sometimes one talks about greedy organizations, organizations that just have their own income or their own business development. If they don't take care of their most important resource, the employers, it will not work. And I think it's quite unethical to say, okay, we don't care about the health of this person. There will be a new person applying for the job, and that person is too sick to work here. So there has to be developed some kind of work ethic, or at least the understanding that we need to take care of the health of our employers. It's important. And I think to create awareness about this among the workers themselves, but also the organizations, is quite important, because it won't go away if people don't or organizations take the steps to change this.
Thank you, Ingunji, for bringing it up and letting us know in that condition. And it is a very major issues in globally and especially in India, where we have a lot of IT boom and all. And now coming to one another question from Subra Kunduji. You have raised your hand, requesting you to unmute and you can ask your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you're audible. Yeah.
Ma'am, please suggest some good books of stress related and digestive disorder related.
I couldn't hear you fully.
She is
Sorry.
asking, suggest any books that are related to stress related and digestive disorder related.
Yeah. I think Dr. Ananda has written about this several places, but there are a lot of work on, but I have used more academic articles, but there are books. So I think you can just go into Google Scholar, for example. You will find a lot of books when you Google stress and work and yoga. Yes. So yeah, I don't have any specific that is updated. I had one that, about stress in the workplace. There are many sources about stress, but I don't have a specific recommendation. Yeah, sorry about that.
I will share some of the Dr. Sir's paper and yours and in that context. And now I'd like to
Yeah.
invite Bharat ji to speak a few words here in this session regarding the today's topic?
I just remember one thing. I
Please.
read the article I recently wrote together with Dr. Ananda. We addressed the question of stress, and there are quite a few references there. So perhaps you could share that.
Sure, sure. I will just find it out and share in the chat box. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Bharatji.
Thank you, Dr. Ingunn, for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
One question that I've got is in terms of the application of pranayama as a therapy to help resolve stress. Are you able? Do you see the? Are people open to the reality that it's not a matter of doing pranayama for 3 or 4 days? For example, for the major therapeutic benefits of daily pranayama practice in terms of stress reduction, this is a longer term commitment. So it even touches upon the lifestyle change aspect. So if you could comment on that, how that is how do we deal with that from a therapeutic perspective? Thank you.
Yeah, I think sometimes people look for a quick fix, like to replace some medicine or something. But I think most people who are sincere about getting healing, they realize that they have to put some effort into it. And I think there is a renewed interest in pranayama or yogic breath. And there was recently a bestseller by an American or Canadian journalist. I believe it's his name is Weston. I don't remember fully. It's called Breath. And it has been translated into, and it was a bestseller. And it has been translated to many languages, including Norwegian. And people are really interested in that. Also among psychologists, they have started to talk about breath work. I've discussed that term with Dr. Ananda. He doesn't really appreciate that term, and I don't like it so. But I think yogic breathing, when people fully understand that, then it's motivating them to continue with that. In a way, it's easier to fit into your life than some asanas or a full hatha yoga practice could be, because it's something you can easily do when you get up or before you go to bed, or when you get to your workplace, you can sit and you can breathe for some minutes. But I think people are starting to realize that yogic breathing or breathing is quite important. But sometimes it's done in an awkward way. There's a lot of these influencers, young people who are on social media and have their own blogs. They want to be part of what is trendy because then they have a lot of followers. And some of them will do things that I find very strange. They will get up at 5 o'clock and write about this, and they will do they will do yoga or other practices, and they will do breathing. And some of them have said that in order to learn how to breathe through the nose, you have to put a tape over your mouth when you sleep. So you get used to breathing through your nose. So it's all kind of strange variations. But there is generally there is an increased interest in yogic breathing and in more focus on the breath as important for our health. So I think we need to continue to give our insights, to share our insights, and to be part of that dialogue about it. So when people do such funny things, just say that, okay, it's good to learn to breathe through the nose, but if you practice it, you don't need a tape. And try to also explain the good consequences it has for calming down, for being a bridge between the mind and body. And yeah, in the course that I'm supposed to teach this week, it's the second time we have it. We have a lot of yogic breathing and this Vibhaga pranayama. And some people have been doing yoga before, others have never done it. But I see especially the breathing, people find very interesting. And they are supposed to write a small paper or small thesis about their practices or what they learned, or if there was some, we asked them to address something that is at stake in their life. So it's something that is meaningful to them. And a lot of them tested out yogic breath as something to deal with their stress or whatever challenge they had. Yeah. So but
Thank you.
we have to continue to contribute here, I think. So thank you for your question, Bharata.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bharataji. Thank you, Ingunji. And we have a couple of questions. And before that, I would like to invite Dr. Meena ma'am to speak a few words, and then we'll take two questions. Uh,
So namaste all, good evening or good morning or good afternoon. That was really enlightening, Dr. Ingunn. You brought in the psychological perspectives and, just strengthened how the mind and the body could relate to each other so well, so that the response, it is like a cyclic process, here to here, soma to psyche, psyche to soma. So how it can be strengthened and made as a continuum. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. But I was just curious, when you were talking about the DSM-5 classification and their definition, and the American Psychologists Association's definition, they were speaking more about the somatoform disorders. So as a psychologist, what, like, how would you, is there, like, will a person who is diagnosed with a somatoform disorder, for example, so will they be given a medicine, or will they be, made to do some other therapy? Like, how is it taken after diagnosis? How is it taken forward?
I think sometimes a psychologist would try to offer therapy, but a lot of times it's also people are asked to also see a medical doctor, because psychologists don't always feel so comfortable to address issues where the body is involved. It's seen as so if there is anxiousness or more emotions that they can deal with, or depression, but when it starts to impact the body in a serious manner, then they say, I think you need to see a medical doctor as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, and the mind is treated then.
Yeah, more the mind. Yeah. There are few psychologists who really focus seriously on the body, I would say.
But when, for example, the psychiatrist is recommending a medication, say for anxiety, and will there be something somatic in that?
It has a calming effect on the body too. But psychiatrists are doctors, medical doctors. They can give medicine. Psychologists cannot in most countries. In Norway, for example, psychologists, and this has been discussed by our health authorities many times, they are not allowed to prescribe medicine. So that is the limitation. This might vary between countries, but in this country, a psychologist cannot provide give any medicine. So that's also one reason why they don't want to, take responsibility for the body.
And even as a psychologist, even if you raise your voice saying, talking about the connectivity, mind-body connectivity, and how by approaching this, the other thing can be solved, I don't know how seriously it would be taken and followed, right? So
I think if for example, if yoga therapy was taken as a integrative part of psychotherapy, I think it would be easier to address that issue and explain that it is the way you think, the way your perspective, it's your mind that impacts your disease. I think people could understand that, and especially if they were at one of the two first stages in the psychosomatic disorders, then they would be, that would be sufficient. Yeah, but when you are at the two other levels, then you need medical treatment as well.
Yeah.
So that's where they have to see their limitations.
Yeah.
But
Thank you so much, and thank you for recommending ISCM to your student Kari, and we are actually looking forward. I just drafted the letter and sent it to her today, the invite
I saw
letter
that.
for her.
Yeah.
So hoping that she'll be here with us in January, and we'll also, get to explore more on the trauma related issues and how, psychology is approaching it, how through yoga therapy we can, address that too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meena ma'am, and thank you, Inganji. And just to, we are running out of time, and we have two questions, and there are two questions. Just try to read it out, and his question from Amanji. He is asking like how psychology subject can be blended in yoga studies, and there is another question from Kalpita ji, who is asking, these days many people turn to YouTube apps or even AI for yoga therapy. For example, someone might say, I have asthma or thyroid or anxiety. What practices should I do? And expect an instant answer. From my understanding, no app or AI can truly replace the lived wisdom, institution, and emotional connection of a teacher. From your experience in this lineage, what do you feel are the deeper aspects of yoga therapy that simply cannot be conveyed through technology and require that human teacher student relationships? Would love to hear your thoughts and a better way to spread this awareness.
Yeah. I think the first question first. I think psychology as a subject should be blended with yoga, because the insights of Patanjali, for example, is really psychology. And I think also, like Ammaji was writing these essays about yoga psychology. So there is a blending, because I think in yoga one is working a lot with human psychology, because it's a mind body practice, and so there is a lot of psychology already there, and I think it needs to be integrated. Like I said, I try to get more yoga and yoga therapy into a department of psychology, and the students are very eager to have that, but the staff who have defined their fields of research and their teaching, they're not aware of yoga. So, but I think it's coming. It's and I think everybody will benefit from that. Yeah, especially clients. And about this, seeking knowledge on the internet and social media, and expecting to get answers for your diseases or problems there. I think in a way it's good that we now have so many sources of knowledge, and that in that way I see that the younger generation are more in the mood to take responsibility for their own health. That is good. And that is very much in line with our Vedic thinking too, that we need to take responsibility for our own health. It's just that they are not enough critical of what they are offered online, because you don't know the quality of the information you get, even though a lot of times the information can be good, but you have to be able to distinguish the pearls from what is not worth much. But I think in terms of therapy, like Dr. Ananda was saying, a lot of times the therapist is the main element in the therapy. That is so also in psychological therapy, but especially in yoga therapy. It's the relationship that you have to your yoga therapist. If that person is calm and connected, and it's like even coming in the same room as the person can sometimes change how you feel. I think Dr. Nanda is an excellent example of that. People are so drawn to him because he is therapeutic in the way he acts. And that you can't get through the net. You can't on the internet get the same connection that you do in person. Sometimes online can work also with a good yoga therapist, but I think the human connection is always better in a physical sense. But just the role of the guru, the teacher, the therapist is so important. So you can't get that on just internet or social medias most of the time.
Thank you for that answer, Inganji. And really, Guru Shishya Parampara and the tradition and the human experiences and the way the experience of the yoga chikitsak is valued or important it can't be directly compared in the terms of AI and the technology that we are having. So definitely human intelligence is very much important in yoga chikitsak. So here we went a little bit off the time, but I think it was needed. And thank you so much, Inganji, for your beautiful explanation of all these concepts of the Gitananda tradition, and especially the awareness, the fourfold awareness, and the awareness of how unaware we are. And that is what it is there, that how we are unaware of the yogi concepts, the various aspects that we need to know. And thank you for putting it together. And thank you so much for giving your valuable time. And I would like to let everyone know that in her very busy schedule, she took this time for us. And I know you are getting late for your other sessions as well. So thank you so much, Inganji, for your valuable time. And just to give a reminder to all that tomorrow we have the day 5. Uh, so we have the next session of the Dr. Balaji, who will be giving his session on modern research meets traditional wisdom, evidence-based yoga chikitsa. So you all are invited to have this very insightful, interesting, and very important session. And uh, so yeah, so we'll close our session with the Shanti mantra. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you again, all. Thank you for giving your valuable time. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow at the same time. Namaste and pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Nilachal. Thank you all for attending.